broadcast studio was aglow with professional spotlights. The audience's applause a rhythmic backdrop as Elon Musk took his place on a minimalist set beside his 5-year-old son, X. The child's golden hair shimmered under the lights, and his bright eyes reflected both the spectacle of the occasion and an innate curiosity far beyond his years. In his small hands, X clutched a detailed model of SpaceX's Starship, an emblem of human ingenuity and exploration. Yet, it would be his words, not the rocket in his lap, that would ignite a worldwide conversation about the divine. From the outset, the interview followed a tightly orchestrated script. Musk offered a practice smile. Jenny, the host, guided the dialogue with polished questions. However, when Jenny inquired how proud X was of his father, the boy surprised everyone. Dad says God gives everyone something special, even those who don't believe in him. The studio fell into an abrupt hush. Musk's hand tightened on the sofa arm. Jenny's smile faltered, and whispers rippled through the audience. Backstage, the production team exchanged anxious looks, fingers hovering over control panels, but the cameras kept rolling. Encouraged, or perhaps compelled, by the gravity of his own words, X continued. When asked what he and his father did for fun, he spoke of building rocket models and watching space films. But when Jenny pressed for X's favorite aspect of spending time with Musk, the child replied, "Dad says God made everything, and he left questions for us to solve." Again, the room froze. Somewhere in the crowd, a mother wiped tears from their cheeks. Elsewhere, a producer reached for a headset, uncertain whether to cut the feed. The tension mounted as X added, "Dad says science is finding answers, but God is the biggest question, and he wants us to keep asking." A collective exhale swept through the studio, followed by polite applause that soon swelled into genuine acclaim. Musk, regaining composure, interjected softly, praising his son's inquisitiveness. But X, eyes fixed on his model, pressed on. "I asked Dad where God is, and he said maybe he's in the stars, but no one can see him." The audience leaned forward. A woman in the front row began recording. Jenny and co-host Tom exchanged impressed glances. Jeff, the PR manager, paced backstage, phone pressed to his ear. "This is a media storm. What's our plan?" Within minutes of the live segment's conclusion, social media became a battleground of ideas. Short clips of X's declarations were reposted on CNN's digital platforms, shared on the BBC's website, and circulated widely across Twitter and Reddit. In a bustling cafe in Hanoi, students paused their chatter to debate whether a 5-year-old could reshape the faith-science dialogue. In suburban New York, Father John viewed the footage on his smartphone and resolved to quote X in his Sunday sermon, noting in his journal, "A child's words teach us humility before God." On Reddit's science forum, physicist Mark critiqued the rhetoric as juvenile romanticism, prompting hundreds of comments both in support of X's insight and in defense of secular objectivity. At SpaceX headquarters, Musk reviewed a flood of messages, text alerts from his partner urging caution, internal memos assessing reputational risk, and social media posts spanning continents. X's words are his own, he insisted to his PR team, refusing to issue a controlling statement. Instead, he allowed the moment to stand unedited, believing that the boy's unguarded curiosity warranted preservation rather than suppression. As the days unfolded, X's remarks inspired grassroots initiatives worldwide. In a small Iowa town, a mother's 6-year-old son tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, can we stargaze tonight? I want to find God." In Vietnam, a parish organized an outdoor event inviting congregants to contemplate the night sky. In Rio de Janeiro, friends on Copacabana Beach debated the merits of viewing the universe as both scientific data and sacred mystery. Educators from California to Colorado introduced X's quotations into curricula, prompting discussions on the interplay between wonder and evidence. Amid this tidal wave of reaction, Musk found himself confronting questions he had long relegated to the margins of his rational worldview. He recalled his own childhood in South Africa. Nights spent gazing at stars, a youthful mind ablaze with unanswerable questions until science replaced wonder with equations. He began to see in his son's simple statements a bridge between empirical inquiry and metaphysical humility. To explore these themes publicly, Musk accepted an invitation to a panel discussion at a downtown convention hall adorned with swirling galaxy projections. He joined theologian Anna, whose research focused on faith's role in modern society, and his son, who arrived in a t-shirt printed with a hand-drawn star. At the podium, Musk admitted, "I'm not one to talk about God, but my son taught me that big questions about the universe, about meaning, start with curiosity." Anna concurred, stating, "Faith and science both begin with awe," and directed a question to X. "Do you feel God is close when you look at the stars?" X replied with poise, "I think he's there like a big friend." The audience responded with hushed applause. When asked if science could learn from childlike wonder, a physicist in the front row proposed that X's perspective might recalibrate research priorities toward questions of purpose, not just mechanism. Musk nodded, and reflecting that questions matter just as much as answers. Following the panel, X again took the microphone. "If God made the stars, I think he wants us to find them like hunting for treasure." The hall erupted in standing ovation. Parents hugged their children. Academics scribbled notes. Faith leaders whispered of newfound hope. In that moment, the lines between belief and skepticism blurred beneath a shared sky. Back at home, Musk and X resumed their nightly ritual on the backyard blanket. Over cups of hot cocoa, they assembled Lego spacecraft and identified constellations. When X asked, "Dad, does that star have a name?" Musk replied, "Every star is a story, and you're helping me read them." The exchange embodied a shift in Musk's priorities, from rockets as tools of exploration to inquiries into the deeper narrative of existence. The legacy of that broadcast endured. Schools launched Ask Like X programs, encouraging students to pose fundamental questions without fear of judgment. Churches hosted interfaith stargazing events, framing cosmic wonder as a unifying force. Science journals invited essays on integrating humility into research methodologies. Even on social media, thumbnails of X's earnest face served as reminders that curiosity transcends age, creed, and discipline. Today, the dialogue continues, in living rooms from Seattle to Atlanta, at dinner tables and online forums, inspired by the 5-year-old who reminded the world that faith and reason need not be adversaries, but companions in humanity's quest for understanding. His words, "God is the biggest question and he's in the stars," persist as an invitation to look up, wonder, and keep asking. In the months that followed, research institutions and think tanks began to study the phenomenon now referred to as the X effect. At Harvard's Berkman Klein Center, a working group analyzed social media engagement patterns surrounding the clip, observing a marked increase in posts that combined scientific terminology with theological inquiry. Simultaneously, the National Science Foundation funded a pilot program integrating reflective questioning exercises, modeled after X's simple prompts, into early STEM curricula. Educators reported heightened student participation and a deeper appreciation for the unknown. Corporate leaders also took notice. During quarterly earnings calls, executives referenced X's remarks as emblematic of the creative mindset they sought to cultivate, encouraging teams to approach product development with both data-driven rigor and childlike openness. In Silicon Valley incubators, workshops titled Curiosity Beyond Code invited participants to ponder foundational questions. What if algorithms had purpose? Echoing the invitation implicit in X's words. Meanwhile, Elon Musk continued to recalibrate his public persona. In subsequent interviews, he acknowledged that his son's insight had instigated a personal and professional shift, prioritizing exploratory ventures that marry technological innovation with philosophical reflection. At Tesla board meetings, he introduced brief wonder moments, 5-minute segments dedicated to speculative questions, fostering a culture that values not only measurable outcomes, but also the transformative power of asking why. This enduring legacy underscores how a single child's unvarnished curiosity can reshape discourse across sectors, inviting institutions and individuals alike to embrace inquiry as both a method and a mission.